everyone, I'm Justyna Sidor and welcome to Kickstart. Today I'm with SeaData. I'm here with Rafał, Tomek and Piotr, and we're going to be talking about SeaData. And these gentlemen here met a few years ago, quite a few years ago, some of them, and they started a company that integrates Internet of Things along with industry, and they compile software with it as well. I'll give them a few minutes to introduce their products, such as yetiBox, for example.
Yeah. So for the yetiBox, let my friend that is designer and producer of that.
The yetiBox is the part of hardware that we use in our solution. It's a system integrated with yetiBox, the hardware box that collects the measurements, the air quality parameters. Then we send the data to analytical platform, where it's processed and shown in real time.
Our like second part, the analytical platform is the software that empowers machine learning and data from our IoT devices and sends some valuable data to our clients.
Perfect. So maybe you could start off by telling us how you guys met, and when you guys met, and how this idea came about.
Yeah, I have to go back to our university times. So we met at like dormitory. We lived together. We drink beers together, and as it turns out, our love to blow things up is band us together for these days, because we are like fireworks and playing with explosive, and we have like I was like informatics graduate, and Piotr was electronics. We have a lot of like electronic stuff, and we also was curious how it blows, how it burns.
Then we decided to start a company and made a thing that will not blow up.
We were too quick because there was the studies, and after the years we finished studies, we were at university. We still met at the New Year's Eve and brings us our old electronics, and also we made some electronics to just blow up or just explode this. Mm-hmm. And after that, like couple of years, 5-6 years, I came up with the idea that maybe I just called to Peter and tell him like right away, Peter, let's make something that will not blow up. I have no idea.
That's how it started.
Yeah, that's how it started.
So there's 3 of you sitting here. So maybe you could tell, like each of you could tell a little bit about your role within the organization.
Yeah, we have like very good quality core of our company, and that's remarkable what we can like bring together. We got Peter is like early adopter of every new thing that came into like in the science or engineering. Like he first person I know that started talking about cryptocurrencies, then printing 3D, and still doing it. Then drones. The years before it were being popular.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a hardware magician.
Yes, hardware magician. Like we call him like artist. More than that.
I'm actually an artist because I play guitar. You know, but it's not the topic of the interview.
So you have an artistic soul.
Artistic soul, and he's. Peter is doing every related to design, so he designed our like cards, flyers, front-end design, the colors.
And he also takes care of our daily operations, because when we were not here, because we've been working on a contract in United Arab Emirates for the last 3 months, he was taking care of all the business here, ongoing business, and he actually made this whole thing work. So not only hardware guy, also operations guy, definitely.
So the Rafał and Tomek are software engineers. They work for over 10 years for different big companies like Sony, Intel, and then their experiences and the knowledge is very, very valuable for others. That's why we are making contracts, abroad contracts now. Yeah, maybe you'll tell about yourself.
No, I don't like this. I will tell about Tomasz that I'm glad that we have him on board. He's like a kid, the genius that spends a lot of time in the computers. So we had like every time we spoke about Tomasz, we want this brilliant guy in our site, and I just asking Tom, please join
Come on,
us.
I'm blushing.
Yeah, and showed the papers, quit from Sony after 3 years working there, and together we are trying to build something special in Polish environment.
We've been working together actually before in other optical networking companies. So me and Rafał, we have some history of working together, but never together. I mean, together for someone, but not together for ourselves. So yeah.
And you both want to work together once again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because we didn't like the context if we were before, because we weren't able to express ourselves as a software developers, and now we can. Yeah.
But probably you are thinking how it started in Poland, that we have any kind of the success, because there is a lot of startup. Everyone, we know how to build stuff, but selling this is another the biggest
story.
issue problem for young companies.
Yeah.
So we were fortunate to participate in events in it's like startup accelerators. They give you some money, but the most important thing, they give you a client and the real problems. So we have the hardest part already there. We got the client, huge companies like port authorities, some other bigger players in our market. They present you a problem, and that was the two things that I am afraid of. And because I have got such a great team of the engineers that we can tackle any problem that you can imagine, but to have a success in the business, you need the second part of the client. And we got this, and we just have one goal, one task, to not screw this up, to not make it worse for our clients. So they liked us. We built our software we are always built, so it's nothing like magic on that. Yeah, the true magic is
creating a value, right? So I mean, it's easy to come up with a nice tech, but it doesn't bring any value to the table. That's the other thing. So yeah, that was the most important part, right? Finding.
Yeah, for me personally, the biggest takeaway from that is first you get the client and the something that someone wants to buy and pay, and then try to do it. And also you need good personality. If you are engineer like us, it's the easiest part.
Okay, so a lot of startups have a lot of problems or difficulties that they face, especially when they're running through the door. So would you be able to share at least one of the difficulties that you have faced or you are currently facing, and how are you going to overcome that, or how have you overcome that?
One of our issues is, of course, we have to grow our client base. You know, it's like you're a new company on the market, you are unknown and nobody will trust you. When you have one big first client, it's not telling the others that you are you're not experienced company, that is finding another clients is very difficult, I think, but we are working on it. We find second client the week after signing first contract with port authorities in Gdańsk. Then we sold our system to port of Gdynia, and we are working now on other contracts. The guys from Latvia, Liepaja, called us and asked about our product. We are going to make a meeting on 5th of March. Then we have also some questions from port of Szczecin. So it's a hard work to actually find and grow a client base, but we are working on it.
Okay.
It's a slow process to gain a momentum in terms of clients. So.
Okay. So is it okay if I also ask you about investors? Because we touched briefly on it behind the scenes, and there's always a debate with any startup is at what point should you find investors? Should you find investors at all? So what's your takeaway on that?
I think it's very good thinking that you have to find investor in any time, because you're learning new things from talking with investors, creating documents from investors. If you are a new company and talking to investor for the first time, you're you are not know what you are doing actually, but then you learn some skills. Then after a few talks with other investors, you are more you gain power to.
So it's trial and error all the time.
Yeah. Can I came back to the question about the two things? We spoke about one thing about the
clients.
most
Most
important clients. But before that, that's the biggest takeaway from our journey was the persistence in what you do and the believing that there is a lot of obstacles. There's a lot of people telling to you that's probably it's not the best idea to do this, do that. But if you are persistent, we also have like lots of downs in our journey. And when we got the client, we have like 9-8 months hard work without any making money, and without the persistence and then seeing the goal. And besides, that's we have like 3 of us. If I was alone, never I will give up. But if you have 3 guys to back each other, so probably
Okay, so building on a little bit, building on what you just said, do each of you have your own significant role within the organization? And I'm sure each of you also have something that is lacking. So how do you guys fill in the gaps within each of your roles?
So Rafał is keeping us in check actually, which is very good, especially for me. So yeah, I mean,
you're almost cannon.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, not even a little bit. So he's the one that actually keeps us in check. He has all the goals in mind, and he tries to push us forward to achieve those goals. And sometimes we just wander off. With Piotr, we do some side things. So he's like this voice of sanity. Actually,
basically, our roles in company are
quite fluid.
Yeah, quite fluid. But the software guys are these 2 guys, and I'm the electronic guy, and we complete each other with our skills. But it's fluid, as Tomek said. And sometimes you have to write a paper. If you even don't have experience with that, you have to do it, and you just do it.
Okay.
Yeah, in company we have 3 engineers as a core, and you have other things like financials, client contacts. You have to wear multiple hats on you, and sometimes you have to switch who will do that. But besides, we have lots of people that helping us. They're not workers, but they are still helping us. Very lots of kind of people. So, and there is a 4th person, Marta, she's taking care about our customers, and she's also
our presence in social media. I mean, she's taking care of all those things that we really don't want to do as engineers. So she's helping us out a lot in this. Yeah.
Perfect. So if you could give an entrepreneur, and I would like each of you to individually answer this question, if you could give a future entrepreneur one piece of advice, what would that be?
Who will start?
I don't feel like I should start with this because I
can start what I said before. Be persistent. Do not give up on your failures. If you are not believe what you are doing, nobody will believe. You have to be the first person that believes about this. So don't try to get to your head about other people. Give it a try. 1 year, 2 years. I saw that people 5 years persisted in that. Don't be fooled, but from my point of view, be persistent.
And I would like to piggyback on it because I'm actually the case when I've had some huge doubts about what we're doing not so long time ago. And I thought that, I don't know what I was thinking, but I didn't stop believing, but I had this personal crisis. But I went away for 2 weeks to the country, stayed there, chilled out next to the lake, and after 2-3 weeks, after looking at things from the perspective, everything just fell into place in my head, and I'm back here, and I'm ready to roll. So I piggyback on what Rafał says: resistant consistency and not losing the goal from your side.
Yeah, from my side, I will tell that you have to, of course, as you said, you have to focus, you have to be persistent, of course, but sometimes you face the failure, and sometimes the failure is, you feel the failure so much that you just give up. I think you sometimes have to admit that you made a failure. You sometimes have to give up, then start over again and think about this. It depends if you want to have your business success. Maybe sometimes it's not your way, then giving up is of course a solution sometimes, but if you have a strong need to be successful in your company, you will do it. Just sometimes the issues, just obstacles that you can avoid them by your experience. Yeah.
Perfect. So how has yetiBox, or how has the software and the technology that you've built changed the world?
That's what we are doing this because the air pollution and this thing in our country, and I think that in the world, it's like people are starting interesting about it because there's air you are breathing, your kids is breathing, and now it make you curious that maybe these huge companies that make money for something, they poison like your environment, and then you build consciousness in society to look at like the most precious thing that we have, like clean air and like environment. So we just try to build something to support the big companies just to have a look at this, do it about this, and acknowledge that there is a problem, that they're generating something. So to reduce this, they need some tools to monitor this. And
yeah, I think we are just creating awareness of what kind of air you are breathing. You know, it's that value that will probably not change the world, but change some parts of the world.
I mean, we're actually changing world one step at a time, because let's take example of Gdynia. We had a feedback from our client from Port Gdynia that after introducing our platform, the complaints from citizens of Gdynia has fallen drastically. So we actually solved problem somehow, because before Gdynia shipyard had this monitoring in place, there were a lot of complaints, a lot of people being annoyed by all this dust being propagated through the city. And now, thanks to our monitoring, the Gdynia shipyard actually knows whenever there is a critical situation, and they can take action whenever something bad happens, whenever things go out of scale, whenever, like for example, readouts of PM10, PM2.5 go way up. They can actually take some action because they know that there is an event happening, and they can react. So before that, they couldn't. They didn't know. They only knew after, when citizen came with.
Moreover, we provide prediction algorithms for authorities that have to plan unloading the materials, dangerous materials. So this is very valuable for them. Yeah.
So we are able to tell that this. I mean, we know that you have planned unloading of this and this, let's say sulfur, on this day, but we know, thanks to our predictions, that on this day, on this time, you shouldn't do this because there is gonna be a wind blowing south, and it's bad for city, because then the risk of propagating this dust to the city is bigger. So we can actually tell a time ahead that the planned operations should not take place in this time and this particular moment because of changing conditions that may affect the outcome of this.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So you are changing the world,
yeah,
one city at a time.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect. So thank you very much for joining us today and for this quick chat. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today as well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.